All right, my friends, welcome to episode 386 of Prof and Dev Play Games. My name is Larry, the professor. Over there is Anthony, the dev, and we have our friend Tom, who does some writing for Zelda Universe, here to talk about Tears of the Motherfucking Kingdom, which I think is the
Getting
official
right
title.
into that spring. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So why don't we just jump right in? I don't know, I think I put in probably 14 hours or so. My game clock hasn't come up yet. It still says you played 9 days ago. But how about you two?
It's been more than that, I think.
Okay.
Pretty much a couple hours every night for the past, are we coming up on, it's been 1 week?
It's been like a week and a half, right? Because
a week and a half.
Yeah.
12. Yeah.
Right. So yeah, but on the order of that, maybe a bit more.
Yeah, I'm trying to get us probably 15 to 20, somewhere in there.
Cool.
Would
So you're
be my
both
expectation.
playtime ahead. Well, playtime ahead of me in terms of my save file. I've doubled everything up because I played on my save file, and then my daughter has played, and / I played with her. So she's now moving toward Rito after she moved towards Zora's domain, and it was just we were getting our asses kicked by all the enemies over there.
Yeah, that is one thing I'll say about this. Especially at the beginning part, you will get punished pretty hard going into places that are, I would say, over-leveled. I felt more than Breath of the Wild did.
It's been a pretty hard wall compared to Breath of the Wild. Like, my daughter's save file doesn't have like a ton of great weapons, and she spends most of her time cooking and not collecting, like weapons. So I don't have much, but I just feel like I was getting my ass kicked out there. I was like, look, do you want to do this or do you want to go to Rito? And she's like, let's go to Rito.
I found that armors have really helped me. Like, just getting just a few better pieces of armor and equipment has really upped my ability to at least take some damage without issue. But yeah.
Are you finding them or buying them?
Well, I bought some. Let's see here. I bought all the Hylian set. I've also found, I know where all the 4 fairies are, but I've unlocked the first Great Fairy and done one upgrade to those.
Yeah, then do you need the band to do that?
Yes.
Yeah, I got to a fairy last night. I was like, I found I think it was the horn player in a fucking crater somewhere. And then I went below this fairy fountain. They're like, oh, she really likes music. I was like, I need the fucking band. I need the whole band together, I guess. Or just
yeah,
one
there's a whole, I won't spoil anything, but yeah, there's a whole thing now with them of getting the Great Fairy to come back out. The first and there are multiple of the Great Fairies, just like the first game. And there's the one I did, kind of sets up the style of quest that you'll be doing to open it. I've gone to a different one. I'm like, wow, this is way harder now. I've got to figure out how I'm going to get this band to that Great Fairy, and I don't know how I'm going to make that happen yet.
Have you found any of those band members, Tom, in your playthrough?
I haven't, but I found the Great Fairy, and she was like, I need to hear a horn before I do anything. And I'm like, is this it's good to know that there's a person out there with a horn, because I keep searching the monster parts for, I think I tried to throw a moblin horn at her and it didn't go well.
Oh, that's interesting, because you're using those kind of horns. That's awesome. That's so good.
That's a good way of doing it.
For me, it was on the way to Rito. I happened to cross the horn player in a crater, and I was like, what the hell?
You found all sorts of good things on the way to Rito, because you said you ran into Hetsu there too, and
I did.
I must have gone a weird way, man, because I didn't find anything on the way there.
Oh no!
I had to go back. Eventually, Hetsu showed up for me at Lookout Landing. I was like, oh, thank gosh, I got all these stinking Korok seeds in my inventory, and I'm desperate to hoard more melee weapons. So
yeah, I found Hetsu on the way to Rito, did the limited number of upgrades before he's like, peace out, I'm gone.
Yep, bye.
And then I was like, where is he? And like, so I had found him pretty quickly, just not because I was going to Rito. I should say, Tom, the way I played through the game, I've uncovered the entire map.
You mentioned that, right?
I just got the towers and I was like, this is a game of ultimate distraction, but I was like, I'm going to hyper focus. I'm just going to get the towers. I'm going to get
That's amazing.
all of them.
That's like that's like a hyper just
I had to give myself a
focus.
goal. I just needed a goal.
I
Because
have
there's
a
a
goal,
lot.
and I
There's
get
a lot in
distracted
this
so
game.
quickly. Yeah, dude. Every 5 steps, I'm like, I'm gonna do that thing. Nope, I'm doing this thing.
Yeah,
I'm doing this thing.
but
It's
I
like everywhere.
found him originally then when I was searching for getting all the towers. But then I couldn't find him again. And I've just been probably until when I was playing yesterday, did I wander? I was like, I haven't been back to Lookout Landing much.
Oh, God.
And he was right there, and I was like, son of a bitch.
Well, Tom had texted me the other day. He's like, where did you find him? I was like, well, I found him on the way to Rito. But then I Googled to see, like, okay, is that, make sure I'm right. And then it was like, he shows up in tons of different places. It's all random. But he then comes back to Lookout Landing. Like, oh, okay.
I would hope that he's technically like in all of those places, and then you can just, so that you encounter him as soon as possible, right?
Yeah,
like no matter where you go.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think, when we're talking about the Great Fairies, maybe the one I unlocked from was by the Woodland Stables.
Right. Okay. That's the one I think I found. Where it's below Woodland Stables. It's like above
Woodland Stables, right? Like if you were going towards the woods, the Lost Woods.
That's up near. Maybe I'm wrong then. Is that up on the Great Plateau area?
No, not at all.
Okay,
it's northeast of Lookout Landing.
Oh no, I'm thinking of a different one then.
That was the one, and that was the one that was like what I would say is the first of this kind of quest, just to train you on like this is what you have to do, because there's no going to find a person or anything like that. The whole band is already there at the stable. You just have to be like, how do I get them to go with me? Like, get over here. I want you guys to go play here. Come on. Like, let's figure this out.
Is the band there because you found all the players? Or
no, that's why I said it's the first one, because I've now gone to another stable, like seen the band playing at the stable, and they're missing a person, and I'm like, oh, okay. And the next one I went to, they said like, we need a flute player, and I'm like, they're like, well, we've heard about a flute player at a stable way far south, which I hadn't got to. So then you go find the flute player there, and he's like, well, I need you to do this thing before I'm willing to go back up to that. I'm like, oh, come on. Like
it's an onion, man. You keep getting the layers.
Yeah, and so I put a pin in that one because I was like, no, all right.
I went through something similar in Kakariko Village, where it's like just you sort of pull at the thread. There's this like sort of basic thing I want to do, but I can't do it because of X. And you can't solve X until Y, and then next thing you know, it's like 3 hours deep, and kind of forgot what I wanted to do. But I'm still like sort of doggedly pursuing after it, and eventually I did, but it was work. Have either of you guys been to Kakariko yet?
I went there on my way through to get. Actually, no, I went up the tower and I just shot myself that direction because I was like, Kakariko's that direction. Let me get the shrine there because I'll be back. I saw that there's the ring ruins. I didn't poke at it too much because I was like, I think this is going to be big and long. I'll be back for this. But I'm curious.
It definitely was like a whole, maybe not quite as comparable as like the whole story beat going to Rito Village, but it eats up a comparable amount of time, sort of thing. It could be like a whole session. So
I love the stables. Speaking back to the stables real quick, I've not been to Kakariko, by the way. Where at least like the Lucky Clover Gazette, like it told me to go there, and I went there, and I was like, this isn't it. It's a stable. And I got closer. I was like, no, this is it. They took over the stable. And it's just like speaking to how much of this game, the locations that were there before have changed. Like, have either of you gone to the Shrine of Resurrection?
No, I haven't been back to the Great
Shrine
Plateau.
Oh, is that up on the plateau?
Yeah, where you start Breath of the Wild?
Yeah, but it's blocked, right?
No, it's not blocked.
It's not?
Not when I went.
I went in there, but I didn't see where I resurrected from.
Well, it's not there anymore. There's just a pool of water.
Okay, maybe I saw it.
It's when you jump in the water, it just refreshes your health. But that's not what's in there. There's something else there.
Oh, I should go explore more in there because I did go up to the Great Plateau and have been around on it a bit.
I won't spoil it. It's cool because it's like the way that they've changed things. You're like, this is not what it should be.
that's been kind of one of the things that's still unclear to me, at least at this point, is that the lack of, like, most of the, just with kind of a handful of the memories in place now, it's like, okay, you can sort of sketch in your mind's eye what the trajectory of what happened while you were gone or were you missing or whatever. But the one thing that's still sort of an outstanding question for me at this point is where all of the Sheikah junk went. And we knew this from like the teaser trailers, right? That it was gone. And because the game sort of started, you were already underground in Hyrule Castle, so you never got to look at the outside pre-upheaval. I would assume that that's like something that's coming in the story, but I don't know yet. I feel like they've done a really good job so far of all of the changes are sort of explained story-wise. So like Link, oh gosh, you start off with 3 hearts and crummy stamina again, but there's a reason for it, right? Like it's explained, and I really liked that they didn't just. It makes you believe in the continuity between Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. That it wasn't just sort of hand wavy video game reasons why this is back to square one. There's actually an explanation. I'm hoping they carry through with that and tell us a little bit about what happened to all the Sheikah stuff.
I'm kind of in the same boat with that in terms of how long it's been. I think we were talking last week, Anthony. Like, we don't really know the time frame. Like, has it been 5 years? Has it been 10 years?
I'm still saying between 3 and 5 is my guess.
Some of the changes are like lived in, like the Great Plateau, the Shrine of Resurrection. Some of the stuff that's there, it's just like, this doesn't seem like it's recent, but maybe it is. I don't know. But I agree with you, Tom, that it feels like they've answered questions well enough that those other things will be answered satisfactorily. But I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
Did either of you guys go to the? Of course, I think it's the Forgotten Temple.
I haven't gone there yet. The one at the bottom of the Heber Canyon.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Oh,
yeah,
Impa, part of Impa's storyline, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I finished that. I got there. Yeah.
That was a lot of fun. I really liked it. It didn't take that long, sort of thing. But again, that's a good chunk of lore right there. I think so.
That's the piece that I probably want to do next. Have you finished it, Anthony?
Yeah, it was pretty quick to get down there.
You guys can talk about it.
You talk to Impa, and it deals with the the glyphs on the ground, and it kind of puts them in a context of the order to find them to go through, and like why they're kind of there. Am I missing something, Tom? I remember.
No, I think
that was basically what it was.
So what I really liked about, I kind of, maybe this is a little background on me. I'm not really, when I play games, so number one, I'm sort of casual from like a playing perspective. I'm not good. I stay away from like FPS and sort of esportsy kind of things because I don't need to get my ass handed to me by middle schoolers sort of thing. But when I came back to Breath of the Wild, I had listened to some podcasts about people playing through it in the intervening, handful of years since I had played it myself. And it was like, oh, wow, I didn't know there were that many shrines. I didn't know there was all this cool stuff in the DLC that I hadn't done yet. So when I played through Breath of the Wild, it really squeezed every drop out. And one of the coolest things about that, I thought, was when you're done with all the shrines, the Forgotten Temple is where you get this special set of armor. It's like Hero of the Wilds or whatever. And so at least for me, that was sort of the culmination. In my playthrough, I staggered it so that I was getting the shrines kind of at roughly even pace so that I finished the shrines and the story at around the same time. So that was kind of like a big deal in the end game for me to get the last ones and then get that special armor. And so then to go back to this place, which was sort of quasi lore important in Breath of the Wild, and to see that it's also kind of a pivotal lore point in Tears of the Kingdom, that was really super cool. This is, I guess, a spoiler for Larry here, that the fact that that giant statue of the goddess statue there is just like knocked over and in pieces. It was like my mouth dropped open when I walked in there. It was like, oh my gosh, what happened here?
Somewhat similar, I guess. Have you gone to the I think it's the Temple of Time ruins on the Great Plateau?
Yeah. Yep.
What's there?
Well, I haven't done it yet. I prayed to the goddess statue and was like, nope, that ain't happening. There's something going on.
I did that today. That quest.
Oh wow. Was it cool?
Yeah, it's a fair amount of work. That was like it was probably a good 2-3 hours of work on that one.
Shit!
To
Just
get
for
to
something
do
that's
everything.
like totally optional.
Yeah, it's completely optional. But there's a lot you have to figure out.
Well, it starts with a puzzle. Like I prayed, and it's like there's a plate underwater that.
Yep.
Or something like that. And I was like, oh fuck!
You need to drain the lake, drain this water out first. You do that, and you have to go talk again, and then there's more parts, and then I would recommend having explored the depths a bit for this, like, because it connects a lot of pieces.
Wow, that's cool.
So it was a pretty big time consuming thing. It was cool though. I wouldn't say it gives like a huge amount of lore, really. Or at least I'm not right now connecting the pieces, the final piece, with why that was the Temple of Time, or why it matters that it came from the Temple of Time. But
well, and how about the head fake that it's like, oh yeah, we're up on the intro Sky Island and the Temple of Time's over there, and it's like, wait, what?
Yeah, exactly.
Old timey Temple of Time.
Right, yeah. Exactly. Did you? I haven't talked to Anthony. And I talked about a little bit the initial Sky Island with the tutorial thing, where one of Anthony's coworkers, I think it was coworker or maybe friend, got stuck. Going out of order, out of sequence, or something like that. What was your experience with the tutorial island, Tom?
If anything, it was. So I listened to you guys talking about that, and if anything, it was kind of the opposite for me, because I heard you guys mention the greaves up there, like an armor piece that you guys found. Mm-hmm. I never found that. Was that like a top, like a shirt of some sort?
No, it's pants.
Oh, okay. All right. Then I did find the pants, because I found the pants, and usually where there's a pants, there's a shirt, and so I kind of was looking everywhere for this and not finding it. It's like, all right, fine, we just got to go. It was really just bugging me that it was shirtless Link for it's like 5 to 7 hours of this game.
Yeah.
Thinking about heading up to Hebra, and it's like, oh, okay, you should probably buy something, and then it got to the shop at Lookout Landing, and it's like, oh gosh, I don't have no money. Like this is this was not a problem for me in a long time in the Breath of the Wild one, and also I'm poor again. Great.
I feel like kind of an asshole about this, because I think Anthony mentioned the same thing, but my daughter had played through her save file before I got to that part in my save file, and she wanted to use the amiibo that I have. So we used it, and it's just like tons of shit dropping, like tons of food, and then, different items or whatever, skins for your paraglider, whatever. No clothing, but just tons of food. And she spent like an hour just fucking cooking everything. So I was like, oh, so I did it on mine too. And I had just a ton of meals. So I just went and sold them all. And I had enough money to buy the shirt. And I was like, I felt like I had a leg up because of the fucking amiibo.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what I got, like, because I hadn't used the amiibo yet. But by the time I got off the Sky Island and down, I probably did a couple. I'm trying to think. I probably on my way to Lookout Landing did a couple of the shrines right there, because I tend to do those as I come across them. But I had like a diamond I could sell and a couple gems, so I was able to just sell a few things, and I bought the entire set of armor.
Nice.
Wow.
But I don't know if I just got lucky at some point and got those. I'm not sure.
I've not yet seen a diamond in this game.
Oh wow, yeah. No, I've gotten like 4 or 5.
Oh dang! I saw one from I forget where it was, but it was basically Raru's blessing temple.
Yeah. One will
give just like in a chest.
Yeah. Back to the Great Sky Island starting it. So my son started, and we're talking about like, I will completely throw out that you need to go in any specific order up there. He immediately beelined it to the Ascend Temple in the snow. He went that direction.
Oh.
And basically went there, and then Ultra Hand, then Fuse.
Whoa, that's the opposite of what I did.
It was I'm like, all right, I guess you can go however. He did have some trouble at a couple points, because clearly it was not the simplest route, I would say, but he made it work. So, good for him.
I think I do agree with the conclusion you guys ultimately came to, is that it's a little. I feel like it's a little less gentle of an introduction than the Great Plateau was. I found myself getting confused is maybe too strong of a word, but a little bit where usually, I mean, again, these are games that they design with sort of children in mind. And so you're playing along and there's some of the higher order stuff might stump you, but the general gist of it is usually pretty clear. And there's a couple of places where I'm like, this is not immediately obvious to me. And like, that's okay. But whereas the other thing, it felt sort of effortless. This one was a little bit more, you had to focus on it, I guess.
Yeah. This one felt a little maze-like to me, where there was like path to go, as opposed to Plateau, where you could just kind of, it was free range. That's, you know, and that's fine. Whatever. I had a good time. There were some places, I don't know about you all, but I've listened to a bunch of podcasts where people talk about the one, the rail part, where after you do the hook rail, it's now a double rail. And if you don't notice that the right hand part of the rail is broken, like I put a mine cart on it and just sailed across and hit that broken part, but managed to keep going, whereas everyone else has fallen off. And I'm wondering if you remember that part, how did you get across it?
I do not remember running.
I do know that. Remember that part, rail. And I didn't use the cart above the rail.
Interesting.
I put a hook on a cart.
There you go.
And just used a single rail with a fan, or whatever was there.
Perfect.
Like, although I've seen some TikToks or social media stuff where someone like counterweighted their rail cart so that it was weighted on the left rail. They like ultra-handed extra weight off the left side of it so that whenever it had hit the gap, it was like balancing on one rail.
I wonder if that's what I did in some way, because I did it first try. It was bumpy in the middle, and I was like, well, that's weird. And then when I did it with my daughter, like 10 times, just kept falling off. I was like, how did I do this? So we ended up doing something else. But it's just so cool how there's like 10 different solutions. Although the Ultra Hand one, I don't know. I know what Anthony did. I know what our friend Travis did, and I did, which was the same. I wonder what your son Anthony did and what Tom did to get up to the shrine, because you can't climb the ice wall. What did you do to get up there?
Oh, I have no clue. I didn't get to see him do that.
Oh, because he didn't have Ultra Hand at that point. So how would he?
He didn't. He did not have Ultra Hand at that point. He just. So, I don't think you have to. Like, I've explored that area a little bit more before I made that tree like thing, but there is like a cave that you can come up.
Yeah, it's near the treehouse, and basically, like Anthony, Travis, and I all put like 3 or 4 logs together and just climbed up the ice wall that way.
So I know, because I saw them do that in the live thing, and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. And then I finished the Great Sky Island. It's like, hey, I never built that weird tall tree. I wonder where that part of the game was. So
did you go through the cave?
I was in caves a lot.
There's a bottomless. There's a cave that you can take that will path you up to it in a different way, and you don't have to. And you don't have to do the. Because once I was up there and I did for whatever reason, built a like hooked log thing so I could climb up, but I came. At one point I explored, there was a cave there that I was like, oh, there's a cave, I could have just come up. Whatever. Like, I assume that's what my son did, because he couldn't have made the weird log climb surface thing. I don't know.
So maybe by way of a segue, we talked about the sky a little bit. Have you guys spent much time down in the depths yet?
Yeah, I've spent a little bit of time. Anthony's probably spent more.
I have. I again got a little obsessed. I would be like, I'm going to go to the next. I see another light route next.
Mm-hmm.
I have confirmed my suspicion. I don't know if anyone wants to.
Is it just the map, but dark and underground?
No, not at all. It's as big. It's completely as big. That's a true thing. Like,
yeah.
It's
like
just as big.
As big as the Overland map, right?
Yes, yeah. and they have their own topography. It's not like flat. There's mountains down there. There's caverns. There's like, but it's all in pitch black. So enjoy that. No, I had a theory at one point about the light routes because I was shifting between the depths and the surface map.
Oh yeah,
like back and forth, and I was on a light route, and I'd shift up.
They're
shrines.
They're right below the shrines. Yeah.
If you have a light route, in the depths, but you shift up, have your cursor over it, and shift up to mainland, and you don't have a shrine there, there is a shrine there.
Yep.
That is awesome, and I had not put that together yet. That's very cool.
And that's a way also, if you have shrines above ground, you can then see where a light route would be underground and work towards it. Again, I don't know I feel like there's going to be a lot of lore around the depths and what it really is, and I just don't know yet, and I haven't looked any theories up.
I mean, even the beginning is just like people live down there. It's like, well, is that where we're going to put like the demise, like Ganondorf in the beginning, and all those people kind of thing come from the depths or whatever.
Yeah.
So I ran into. So you guys have been down there. What stuff have you fought so far?
I just fought like super bokoblins. Yeah.
Trash
fucking
mobs
stone
and stuff
masks.
like that.
A lot of stuff. Gloomed versions of the normal mobs, except there was can't remember its name. I fought a couple of them down there. They start with a K. They're like weird duck-built, like big giant things? Yeah, actually those they start with an F. They're the fla. I don't know. They have big they remind me of giant duck-billed platypuses, and they'll suck you into their mouth. And I couldn't remember the name.
Oh wait, no. This isn't the likes, is it?
No.
The big worm things. Okay.
No, these are like really, really big duck-billed platypus-looking things. Has a big tail. It has a bunch of like ore nodes on its back and tail, and that's what you have to break off to defeat it.
Looking forward to this nightmare fuel,
dude. That place is creepy as fuck. I'm sorry.
Oh my god, it gives me anxiety to be down there.
Yeah, I stay for a little bit. I get like one light room. Like I'm out of here. Bye.
So I spent a whole day just down there. Night. I'm just like, I'm just gonna mess with that. It can be real challenging though. Like, it is not an easy place.
That's with no upgraded armor, because I haven't found any great fairies yet. I've been finding a little bit of a challenge that navigationally, like avoiding the gloom isn't too bad. You know, I've for whatever reason obsessively picking up everything. I've got like 80 or 90 of those little light seed things you can shoot. Sure. So I'm pretty liberal with just, you know, seeing where I need to go kind of thing. But sometimes, the enemies that you run into are a bit much. What I wanted to, can you guys maybe sustain what I think is probably a pretty minor spoiler about the depths? It's small, but
I'm good with spoilers. It doesn't matter for me.
I ran into our old friends, the Yiga clan, down there.
Oh yeah.
Me
too.
Yep.
Okay, all right, you guys saw.
And I'm running into them on the surface now.
Oh, that's interesting.
I have. They're back. They're annoying, just as before.
I was really glad for that though, because it was like, if you think about where we last saw Master Koga, we threw him down that giant hole, and it was like, oh, well, then they were all just hanging out down there with him, I guess. So,
I went to a chasm on my daughter's save file, like way further east, I think, and we landed, and there's somebody there who's like, I don't have any seeds. Can you give me some seeds? And I gave that person some seeds, and they turned to a Yiga clan person, and my daughter was just like I don't know, like broken by it. She's like, oh, we're the Yiga clan. What? Why did they do that, Daddy? So we listened to like this whole Celtic lore video about fucking the Yiga and their split from the Sheikah last night, just so she could learn more about the Yiga. But yeah, you should explore the Great Plateau more to find some interesting Yiga stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
In places you shouldn't find them.
I don't know, man. I've been glad to not run into them on the road for a couple of hours at this point. I got kind of sick of that and doing a Breath of the Wild. But,
I will say they are more prominent in the depths. Like, you'll be like, oh, there's a person. They're gonna be a Yiga, aren't they? Of course they are. Yeah. Like, the one other thing down there, I will say, I've had a couple. Why I went to the depths mainly is I had a couple maps where they've marked X's in the depths for me, and I hunted out. I have one more to get. I had 3 right now, and I got 2. One of which was the Tunic of Time.
I found that too. Yeah.
And the other one was the Tunic of the Sky.
What are the attributes on these? Are they anything neat? Or just
I think they might have set bonuses. In the end, if you can get all together, they don't have anything special.
In they did in Breath of the Wild.
Yeah. I have been told that generally I mean, they even tell you in the game that like that sets could have bonuses, like full sets, or maybe once they get upgraded. I don't know, but I feel like that's going to happen. But yeah, I was really surprised that that's down there. I assume really there's more of that stuff of armor pieces and stuff from effectively looking like older Zelda games or different Zeldas.
I'd heard some interview with developers at some point where they were talking about how specifically you could, because they were locked behind amiibos in the prior game, and so the fact that you can actually find those by looking around, I think, is really cool. There might be, is there like, if you squint, I feel like there's some lore implication there that the item that leads you to them is called an old map. And the fact that they're underground sort of thing, that there might be, there's definitely some time shenanigans in this game. That kind of feeds into that a little bit, that there's a through line from the.
I think this game's going to break their timeline completely and totally.
So I don't know if you guys want to talk about. Yeah, you guys are coming down hard on the timeline in the last episode.
Well, I've just read interviews where they've said they don't. There's a straight Aonuma interview, and I even looked it up, where he's like, "We'll change it as we want to,"
and that's fine with me.
So I'm like, okay, what's canon really? They're just gonna have.
I think they make the game they want to make, and then they just justify it on the timeline later, which I'm 100% fine with. And you'll never catch me being one of those crazy people on Reddit who's like, "Hey guys, read my timeline theory." And it's like, okay, like you can do that, man, but this is all made up, right? Like ex post facto, no questions asked.
I guess that's where I'm at with it, is being like, it's cute, it's fun, but them as the creative team are like, we're not going to adhere to this thing to make when we're making a game. Like, we're just going to, like you said, we're going to make the game we want to make, and we'll figure out if it fits in or how it can. And if there's incongruities, okay. Like,
and Breath of the Wild already broke it, right?
Yeah.
It references things from multiple timelines that shouldn't talk to each other. Not even just the names of the places, but in-game dialogue where they specifically call out basically allusions to other games. They list several in a row, not all of which are from the same timeline. But what really caught my ear on this one was in the big plot dump at the beginning. Zelda's looking at the murals, right? And she's like, "Oh, what's going on here?" And it's the imprisoning war. And I was playing. My wife sat for the first couple hours of this because I was so excited about it. She was humoring me, and I was just like, "Oh shit, the imprisoning war!" Like that dates all the way back to the instruction manual for A Link to the Past, is like the first appearance of that in lore. And it also thought it was interesting because if you look at the timeline in the encyclopedia, they place the imprisoning war in the downfall timeline branch of things, which is, I think, if you just read the internet, sort of the popular consensus had that one as like a distant third and like the likeliest one that these games would end up in. It's like,
sure.
Oh goodness. Okay. So I was really excited because that they mentioned The Link to the Past. I believe it's referenced in Ocarina of Time. This has been something that's been sort of hinted at, and sort of you get little tidbits. And again, I think it was just window dressing, right? It's not like there was some book on it somewhere that Nintendo has in a closet. I think it's really cool that they're finally spending some time to flesh it out. I thought that was really neat.
Yeah.
On some podcasts I listen to, and Tom, you might know the answer to this, Rauru was like a fucking sage from Ocarina.
Yep, he's the Sage of Light, which is like kind of a pretend sage in that game, because he had no temple. This was like, oh, you like wake up as the old Link, and he's like, hey man, things have been rough while you've been sleeping for 7 years. Take this medallion and please go find the rest, sort of thing. That's the extent of his screen time, and he sure as heck didn't look like the rabbit-eared guy in this game.
Yeah.
But, his name also dates, I believe, he is one of the towns in Zelda 2.
He is.
Yeah, his name. Yeah. So the name's been around a while.
So I just wonder, like, you can start making those connections backwards, but really, I don't know if there's that much connection other than like, we need a name. Oh yeah, that's a good one. Let's do that one again. Yeah. There's not really it's not the Sage of Light, right? Or like the first king and queen of Hyrule. Like Skyward Sword was the beginning of the timeline, but that's not congruent with Skyward Sword. And that was,
That's
the guy who's
really interesting point. Yeah, that's that they're calling it Hyrule, so it's not even in, because the Skyward Sword, the preamble to that references some like prehistoric time where everybody was on the surface and they're all fighting with each other, and then that's why the Helians ended up in Skyloft, because things got bad down there or whatever.
Yeah.
It feels like this is a really interesting point, how this is going to line up with Skyward Sword, which, ordinarily I wouldn't say they would feel particularly bound to that, but it does feel like it was kind of a conscious decision for them to release Skyward Sword, the remaster for the Switch, as like the lead up to this game.
Well, there's a couple of interviews where they talked about, like, did you do this purposely? And like, no, not really, just kind of aligned that way. But the director on Skyward Sword is the director on this. And
Yes.
like there are through lines there, and there's, just for me, I literally played Skyward Sword right before starting Tears of the Kingdom, so I'm like, it's the same thing. This ties up somehow, and I'm like, wait, how does this tie up? Is the imprisoning war the imprisoned there? Is like the design for Ganondorf looks like fucking Demise to me. So it's there's a lot of things that line up.
There's the Zonai are only mentioned in Breath of the Wild, right?
That's
like
my
that,
understanding.
Yeah, that whole thing is completely new. Like, I'm not a Zelda lore super deep into the lore, like remembering all this stuff. I'm like, I don't think they've really mentioned them outside of these two games. Again, they've just made up a new founding race. They did, basically.
And if you read like interview material for Breath of the Wild, you'll hear them talk about how they're like, oh, the Zonai. It's like, yeah, we just wanted to make the universe feel lived in. So we just sort of dreamed up all these bits and chunks of ancient civilizations and sort of just scattered it around because we thought that'd be cool. Right. That's what they said about it at the time. And so, yeah, I actually, now that we are on this, have either of you been back to the labyrinths?
I have
not.
I haven't.
No.
I've seen them. I haven't gone back into them.
I haven't been there either.
Mostly because maybe it's a little bit of like PTSD with them from the first game.
Exactly.
And I'm like, no, I don't want to do this again. No.
Yeah.
Does Ascend make them easier?
It probably make them harder. Think of all the annoying, weird labyrinth puzzles they can do with, look how you can ascend now into these weird places. And
now it's a 3-dimensional pain.
Yeah.
Fuck. Oh, God. Has anyone been to, you probably haven't because it's like for the southeastern part of the map, but like Eventide Isle?
No, I saw it as I was getting all the towers. I saw it out there.
Okay.
From just a distance, it looks like it's a big giant like enemy fortress now.
That makes sense actually, because I talked to some dude from is it Lurine? I don't know how to say it. The village that's down there.
Yeah.
There was a guy in Lookout Landing who's like, yeah, I used to live in Lurine Village, and then a bunch of pirates came and nobody lives there anymore.
Oh, so, that's right, the pirates. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Tetra's in this game. Perfect. I'm ready.
Awesome.
That'd be cool. Sure.
Oh my God, my daughter would die.
I'm sure.
Oh, tangent real fast. I bought her a Girahim necklace off of Etsy, which is a really cool Girahim cartoon kind of figure, and she's just in love with this thing. she's obsessed with Girahim, man. So yeah, she's been enjoying that.
Speaking of PTSD, man, there's some clip that lives rent free in my head of him doing some weird thing with his tongue that I can't unsee.
Licking the sword. Yes. My daughter, so on one side of this necklace is him with his tongue out, and the other one with his mouth closed. And my daughter just loves that he was licking that sword, and he just always mimics that. But she hates that part of the necklace. I was like, I thought you loved that. She talks about it all the time. Oh man, Skyward Sword.
She's gonna love meeting Zant in Twilight Princess.
Yeah, that's the only T for teen one though, and we only go to E10, so
gotcha.
Yeah,
it'll keep the weird tongue
one day
thing
we'll
that he does. Maybe the HD releases will be out by then.
So. I was gonna say in 10 years when the HD release is out, she'll be ready.
Cross her fingers.
Dude, it's got to come now, right, Tom? Like Wind Waker and Twilight Princess, they're coming to Switch.
About 3 years ago, I was certain they would come, and as we got closer, after they delayed Tears of the Kingdom, I was like, no, we're not seeing those games for another 3-4 years, kind of thing. I think you guys had it right that they'll put that in their pocket for like late end of life on the Switch. Once they've got the new thing teed up, they'll get their 2 more pounds of flesh from all of us for that. But
I'm pretty sure it's done and ready to go.
Well, it's like Prime Remastered. It was done and ready to go for a while,
Yeah, and they're just waiting. It's like, okay, when to drop this. I mean, that's be good because we're not getting a new Switch probably, at least for earliest spring of 2024. But I still think that we'd be potentially later than that.
And I mean, you guys can maybe speak more to this, keeping a closer eye on the industry, but like, people keep buying the Switch. Like, what possible motivation do they have to do R&D and marketing and all the heartache of the new console when people keep buying this one?
Yeah, and I don't think they'll want to. It's not like when it was the Wii U, where they're like, we'll early announce this, because people aren't buying the Wii U to begin with. They're gonna probably hold it really close until what I'm trying to say, there's not going to be a huge lead time from when they announce it to when it comes out, because they want to sell Switches
they don't need
as long as they want to, as they can. So,
but I think in the end of life is where those things are going to come out, because they don't need to rely on the the higher power of the new Switch or Switch 2 or whatever. And I don't know, it's just fill in the emptiness, whatever they have. Because right now, we don't know yet. I guess maybe we'll have something this summer, but we've got Pikmin 4 this summer, and then I don't know. Right? Yeah. So they gotta have something for fall. So there'll be something, I'm sure. But I mean, we'll be playing Tears of the Kingdom. For me, I'll be playing the rest of the year. There's so much.
I'm sure will.
They spent 6 years putting so much fucking content into this game. It's unreal.
God. Yeah.
There's systems upon systems.
I'm sure maybe Tom's seen this tweet or whatnot. I posted in our Discord this was done last year, March of 2022. They're like, we're basically done. We just spent a year making the physics work how we want them in most cases and polish. So cool.
This just makes so much, and I was really entertained to see that, because it makes the kind of collective like bedwetting of the internet when this game got delayed and it's just taking so long, and everybody just I don't know. I was really plumbed into this, and I have since muted all of the sort of various social places that I keep an eye on Zelda, because I didn't want to get spoiled, and successfully so, in fact, I'm pleased to report. But there was a time earlier this year where it seemed like just public sentiment just like really turned on this game, and it was like, oh, it's just big DLC.
Oh yeah,
nobody
totally.
cares. Oh yeah, this is crap. And I just remember sitting there thinking, it's like, you really think that these guys spent 6 years on something that anyone could possibly call like overblown DLC? I just thought it was really funny how people just cannot keep their emotions in check over stuff.
There's just so much disappointment and like impatience.
Yes, that I mentioned, I think, Larry, we talked about this, but when they announced that delay, I was, I think, still like 5 or 6 mainline games left in my like personal replay. I think I had to be like 1/10 of 1% or something. One of the only Zelda fans that day was like, "Oh, thank God, I have another 8 months to finish up this other dumb thing that I imposed on myself." And the timing of it worked out beautifully for me. So I'm still happy as a clam about that.
On the aspect of the replays, I do have a question for you.
Yeah,
I since you've replayed them all recently, mainline, what is one that you're like, now playing it now, this is far better than I remember it being, and which one do you think felt like this was worse than I remember it being?
Okay. The first one is easy. It's definitely Majora's Mask. That came out when it was, I think, 2000, 2001, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
I was in middle school, so I was like riding high off of Ocarina. That was my first Nintendo console. Zelda 64 was, Ocarina of Time was my first Zelda game. So all of this stuff, like, I just loved it. And Majora's Mask, I was like super psyched that one of the first games I really anticipated it coming out, being really excited. And I played it, and it was fun, and it was kind of like, okay, whatever. And I mentioned earlier, I'm not really much of a completionist. And that's not how Majora's Mask, I think, was really intended to be played. There's a story and you can play it and it's fine and it's great. But the beauty of that game is in the depth and the character development that you only get these little snapshots by doing all of the mask quests to get all of them. You just get these amazing little slice of life kind of anecdotes and stories that somehow it like rocketed that game to the top. If I had a list, it's in contention for 1 or 2 sort of thing. Like it bowled me over. I was super surprised by it. And then one that didn't age quite as well. It kills me to say this because I still love it dearly and I'm like a huge apologist for it. But Twilight Princess was a little more fiddly to actually play than I seem to remember. The dungeons in it are still amazing, but and maybe I'm just talking about the horse riding mechanic. I hated the damn horse in that game. It's miserable. I hated it. And then they like make you do it. For some reason, I never ride the horse. I walk everywhere. And that game at the very end, it's like, oh, hey, there's like some key parts of this game where horse riding is really important. And I hated it. And it sort of took me out of it for a minute.
No. Okay.
But the ones that were new to me were the DS games.
Okay.
Those kind of deserve the rep that they have, I think.
Is that like
if you were
games or
no. Twilight, Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks. Yeah, with the stylus control, I didn't have a DS when it like came out, and so I'm like late to all the DS stuff, and I didn't love it, and it just felt like if you got rid of that, they would have been better games and not worse. And it seems like they were willing to capitulate with that on Skyward Sword. So, maybe in 100 years, we get remasters of those with stick and button, and they can be a little more fun.
It'd be so nice.
Well, it's funny that because they made those for the DS, but 3DS we got A Link Between Worlds, and they didn't use stylus controls on.
Yeah,
because I think everybody whined about it. And
they're like, nah, it's fine.
It just felt shoehorned. It's just like Skyward Sword with the fucking Wiimote.
Yes.
Like here, it's a tech demo. Like no, it's not a tech demo, but it's like, god damn it, let me not use this shit. Just let me play a game.
And I don't know what it is about that, man. Like I heard that the motion controls are better on the HD remaster. I haven't played it yet, but it feels like it's still. Maybe if it was like a VR. Like if Nintendo ever does VR, maybe that will truly do Skyward Sword more justice. I don't know.
I didn't play. I played through the HD version. I played all buttons. I didn't play any motion control. And to be honest, the controls were a little bit unwieldy. So
because that wasn't that was a tack on after
that
the
way.
fact. So it's sort of it's hard that I don't know that there's ever any salvaging that in the end, right? It's always going to be an imperfect kind of solution to what they wanted to do.
No, because you have to slice in a specific angle, and so they do it with the right stick, and that's the only way you can really do the angles without doing motion controls. So. But it sounds like we're all loving Tears of the Kingdom.
Very much so. It's a great game.
Through my notes here. Have you guys gotten chased by a tree yet?
Yes.
Oh yeah. Oh, those fucking trees.
They're in the depths too. Oh, they'll come for you in the depths.
Oh no! I was getting chased by my daughter was getting chased by a tree, and she didn't have any blades. She had like clubs and shit. So the clubs don't do shit to the tree. No. So I was like, just run, and she panics and like throws the controller on the ground. Pretty amazing to watch.
And what about the so this is something so the trees are kind of everywhere, so yeah, you guys probably seen those, but I got chased by like a weird like gloom pool.
Yes.
Do those have a name?
The hands
above ground?
What the
hell is that? Yes.
Yeah.
What is the name for those?
It's like the hand,
I fought them. Really went at it and fought it. Explosives, lots of bomb flowers.
Everything ranged, right? You can't get close.
Yeah, stay. Okay. I did get close once I got a few of them down, so I was only fighting a couple, and I could kind of dodge out of the way. I won't spoil what happens after that, because getting rid of the hands is not the end of that. And then I was dead very quickly. I was not prepared. I would say if you see them, just run. Run. They're not not worth trying to fight them right now.
I feel like. Go ahead.
No, Tom, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I thought they have a tough act to follow with the Guardians, right? Something that inspired such pure terror in you, particularly at the beginning of the game. And sure enough, the first one of those things showed up, and I was just like, fuck this. I'm climbing this wall as fast as I can, getting away from this thing.
I probably found the same cave that you did, where I was like, I need to get up this wall and get away from this thing. Mm-hmm. It was, my daughter found it on her save file, and she was just like, we died like 6 times in that cave to those damn hands.
God, I ran into one outside, like in an open field, which in some ways was like a little scarier because I just had no expectation that it would be out there at all.
Yeah. And as they get close to you and stuff, if you're outside, because I did find one outside as well, like everything starts turning red, like it's the blood moon happening. Yes. Like the music changes and it's terrifying.
Oh my god, this game does creepy. Like I think we talked a couple weeks ago about how, just for me at least, and I'm not sure if this is what the developers think. Like Elden Ring, like looks at Breath of the Wild and is like, how can we adapt our formula to kind of answer this in some way? And then I don't, obviously the dev team didn't do this, but like, did they look at Elden Ring? And like, this feels like an answer to like taking the lessons from Breath of the Wild into Elden Ring, now back into Tears of the Kingdom. We're like, it's just like the depths are fucking creepy as hell. There's like way more nightmare fuel in this game. There's more discoveries, more things to discover. I don't know. It just feels like these two franchises are in conversation with each other in a way that's really kind of interesting. Even if I'm just this is my headcanon, but it's pretty cool.
That was my first note in my notebook here. It was just like, it says, what does it say? Whoa. I guess Zelda is a spooky game now, like just from the intro, right?
Yeah.
The music, and that it's like, it's it also reminded me a little bit of like Hideo Kojima, right? Where it's like you're kind of just like playing a cutscene. There's not really a lot of game to actually do there, but man, damned if it wasn't atmospheric, and like whatever that music was, it just like really did a good job giving me like a sense of foreboding. And you kind of, even as early as the original teaser for this game was where you see the mummy wake up, and you knew where it was going, but it was still scary.
I feel like that cutscene, like I really liked how it started off cinematic. I feel like it's really exposing the fact that Link doesn't talk, but Zelda's like having this huge monologue with Link, and he's just like silent. And then later, like tons of places where people are talking to Link, and he's clearly talking to them. And then they repeat his hands, right? Yeah, just moved his hands, and they're repeating what he said. And I was like, at some point, you got to give him at least speech bubbles, right? Like, And the manga, like my daughter and I have been reading the manga for like the last year and a half, and we're doing it again right now. And he doesn't shut up in the manga.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird, that disconnect.
Well, he didn't. Yeah, in any non-game media, he talks a fair amount.
Yeah.
And even is incredibly annoying depending on the media.
Yes. It's like, you're like kind of like Fee right now. Jesus.
I will die on this hill that Link should not speak in the game, and it's like at this point, it's like so contrived, like it's stupid, right? Everyone else talks. Link is clearly like moving his hands and conveying information, like he is speaking. But if they gave him a voice, I would hate it. Like I would walk away. You can't do it. Like it's this weird little corner that they've painted themselves into, and I'm 100% here for it. Like I love it. It's like the more awkward it gets, the better.
Well, I'm not saying give him a voice. I'm saying give speech bubbles, because I agree with you. Like I think it's worked really well until now, where like he is really participating in conversations. It's very interesting.
I had one question. Have you guys gone back to your house?
Oh, Terrytown?
No, I haven't been there.
No, not Terrytown. You when you buy a house and you do all the building in a house off of Hotano?
Oh, it's Hotano. That's right. Sorry.
Yeah.
No, I haven't.
Okay. Have you, Tom?
Uh-oh.
I haven't. It's crossed my mind that it's probably something interesting going on there. But...
It is interesting. There's it's the closest I think we've ever come to the fact that Zelda and Link are actually in a relationship. Or you should infer it from what's there, and you're like, well, they're not explicitly stating anything, but Zelda lived at this house too, so...
Oh, dang. Okay.
Wow.
That's cool.
I'm making a beeline next time.
And it starts a quest for some armor as well.
Cool.
I would highly recommend.
Speaking of that, after you, if I remember correctly from Breath of the Wild, you get your house there, and then it starts off on the Terrytown stuff, right?
Because it's the same builders that are from Terrytown are the ones who build the house. The Hudson crew. Yeah. So
playing Tears of the Kingdom and the whole President Hudson thing, I was like, fuck, I never did Terrytown. Sorry, that's not true. I started Terrytown, never finished it, and I was like, I should go back and do it. And Anthony's like, just watch the YouTube video. So I did.
It's real long. Wow, there's a lot of involved.
So I watched it was like a 40-minute YouTube video where it sped up a bunch of the stuff, and it was like really cool. I wish I had done it. I never did.
So that's funny that you would say that, because I had the opposite. I didn't do it my first playthrough, but then on this next one, it was like I heard people talk about Terrytown, and it's like, well, I'm wringing every last drop out of this game. Like, I'm definitely doing Terrytown. I was kind of underwhelmed by it, and maybe it was just oversold for me a little bit. And like, yes, it's neat that it's sort of you build up the town or whatever, but I guess I felt a little cheated in the sense of like, what do you do in this town? Like, it's all these shops, right? Oh, cool, I can buy new stuff. It's like, no. You can buy overpriced gems, which you're drowning in by the end of the game anyways. Armor sets you already have, or like that one dude has like super rare stuff if you lose it. Like things you can only get once.
Yeah, right. Uh-huh.
It's like, I mean, I guess that's all like nice or whatever, but I guess I just felt like I didn't care enough about those characters that for like the emotional payoff of the wedding scene to like really mean that much to me. And so it was a little bit of it felt flat for me.
Yeah, I was fully invested from a character standpoint, and just like getting this town. I was like, I don't care what the shops are. I'm just getting this, and I was weirdly invested to the music. I've told this to everyone because I'm sure you can find online every time you add a new person to the town,
a new instrument comes
into the composition, and
that was the main thing
and it feels so good.
That was the main thing from the video, is like that song is amazing, and it builds and builds and builds. So I feel like I got that. Cutting down
and it was just I just had the emotional payoff, like actual from usefulness in the game. No, not really that.
Yeah,
that like there's nothing major exciting out of it. But built a town. It was neat. Mm-hmm. I've been back there since, and it was
also interesting.
It is interesting. I need to. It's like Hotno. I've only briefly been there. I haven't like dug deep. I'm pretty sure there's a lot more with Terrytown right now. Because there's that whole President Hudson thing going on, and I'm like, what is all of this?
I love that sign guy, man. I like help every single sign guy I find, or the same guy, but I help every single sign stay up.
That's like my main income source at this point, is helping sign guys.
Yeah, exactly. 20 rupees per time.
I need it, man.
Yeah, no, totally.
Speaking of,
sorry, go.
I was just going to say, when we're talking about money real quick, I wanted to say a personal thank you to you guys on the last episode, because I've been having a bear of a time with those stone talus like battle fortress things with the bokoblins on them. I was, no problem picking off the bokoblins with the bow. Like, that's like super easy. And the way that I was doing it, because we sort of talked about, you tried to throw the rocks back at him and it wasn't working. And what I ended up doing was sort of dodging his arms, and then he sort of tips his shoulders when he goes back down. I was trying to time a jump onto the platform at the moment that he tips his elbow to the ground, and was getting better at it, but it wasn't going great. So when you mentioned using Ascend to get back up there, it was like, oh, okay. I knew I was doing something wrong, but
isn't Ascend the best ability? Because
I think so.
Do you do a bunch of shit and you're like, oh, I forgot I fucking have Ascend. Like, I don't know if I told Anthony or any of you, but like flipping back to Rito, that whole the Sky Island thing, the puzzle to get there. There was a huge column that I spent 40 minutes climbing it. 40 fucking minutes. I tried every trick. Like I could frame like some sort of fucking frame glitch where I would stop and get my stamina back. And I got all the way to the top, and it was a ridge, and I couldn't get around it. I was like, oh fuck, what do I do? And I got to the bottom. I was like, oh my god, I just use Ascend. 40 minutes. It was amazing. I had the most fun that whole all the way through to the Thunderhead. Was like, I
forgot
that
you had Ascend.
I did. Ascend, man. Like, you just forget about it.
I will. Shapes of the wall merge mechanic from Link Between Worlds, right? Yeah. You just be banging your head against something. It's like, oh yes, the main point of this game. I forgot
exactly.
I discovered with Ascend, there was a thing in the depths, like a ruin that I was like, well, what happens if I can ascend here? What happens? I ascended to the main world.
Oh,
out of the depths. Yeah, it was a really long ascent. I was like, what's going on? And I popped out, and I was like on a bridge actually, on like one of the main pillars of a bridge, and I was like, okay, I guess that is a possible thing. You can ascend from the depths back to the surface.
Oh my God, that's crazy. I wanted to ask about Rito, because Tom and I were texting, and it did not occur to me at all that there was, and I should have known this, that there's more than one way to kill the boss in the Wind Temple. So before we tell you what we did, Anthony, what did you do to beat that boss?
I glided and shot arrows.
Okay, so you did what I did.
I was just floating in the air and just using the gust power to like re-angle myself and
how many arrows did it take
area.
you to
a fucking ton, dude. I was down to my last bow.
It didn't seem to take me that much.
Well, it did if you miss your shots, man.
That's true. If you miss it, I started getting better at judging distance and just started getting myself closer. So that
I used every eyeball, every wing, every fucking everything. By the end, I had depleted most of my resources, and I felt like a fucking champion. And then I talked to Tom, and he tells me what he did.
What did you do?
So when I saw those little circles on them, at least in other places that I've been, and I thought certainly on the approach, there have been a couple of spots which have similar like stone edifices that are clearly covering something. And what I found is if you just jump on them, they shatter. And so all I did was just like kamikaze dive bomb around all of the little shooty spikes that come off of his back. And then when I got on top of him, I just took the glider off and he smashes right through.
Oh, that makes sense.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Didn't even consider that for a second. I was just shooting conventionally. It was weird though, because you'd lose your stamina and then you just kept regaining stamina. It was just like kept giving it back to you.
Which is like really gracious of them. Like there's part of me that's like, oh, it's kind of cheap, right? But it's like, no, and I think that again, it just informs the game design so much. It's like, well, is it fun to be like constantly stressing about the damn stamina wheel, regardless of, you could have come to this first or last. The game has when they write it, they have no notion of where you are in just the way that they've structured the story. You could be just green as grass, and it's got to still work. And so the fact that they throw you a bone there and just let you not worry about it for that, I thought was good.
I guarantee you through their development cycle, there was a time when that did not just constantly replenish stamina. Like I guarantee you there's a version of that where they were testing and were like, this is bad.
This sucks.
This is...
We all hate this.
Yeah, people are going to hate this. Give them stamina. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly. I love, and I didn't know this, I guess they didn't say it ahead of time probably, but I didn't know that when you defeat one of the temples or whatever, defeat one of the 4 phenomena, you get one of the powers of the person you're with, like their fucking shadow form or whatever. I think that's really cool. I have Tulin follow me everywhere right now.
Yep. And I use his ability a lot now.
Oh yeah.
He shoots arrows too. He helps you fight.
Yeah, he tells.
Yeah, and he does.
It actually
it's
makes
like,
the combat weight like an actual like. I'm like, oh, combat's actually becoming actually easier now. I'm having help. Which leads me to.
Sorry, go ahead.
To a quick thing where it was said that in Breath of the Wild, Monolith helped them make like terrain in the environments, in Tears of the Kingdom, it's come out Monolith actually helped them with development as well, not just the environment. They actually did dev on the engine and the work. And having played Xenoblade Chronicles 3 and seeing how many characters, high quality characters, they had on screen in Xenoblade Chronicles 3 in real time while you're playing, totally makes sense that there's a number of characters around, because I've actually fought with like a townsfolk of people fighting enemies, and I'm like, this is a lot of people on screen. And when I learned that Monolith Soft actually had a bigger hand in the actual development, it made total sense. They're miracle workers when it comes to the Switch.
They are, man. They really know what they're doing. They should like send them over to the Pokemon team, man.
Yeah, pretty much.
The monster battle was cool. The one, it was pretty close to Lookout Landing, like south of it a little bit with Haas again. And you joined the townsfolk to go like take out a monster encampment or whatever. And that part felt a little bit like Hyrule Warriors, where you're like taking over like a keep or whatever. You have to like knock the health of the whole army down. I just love how you feel less alone in this game. And I'm wondering, I don't think any of us have beaten more than the Wind Temple, but if you beat another temple, do you have to swap out your character, or do you get to have two?
Do you want me to spoil that for you? Because I know.
It doesn't matter to me, but if Tom doesn't want to be spoiled, then I can wait till later.
I'm going to feel how I'm going to feel about it now or later, so that's okay.
They stay with you. They stay out. All that's the ones awesome. You get. So you get an army, basically.
That is exactly correct.
And that's where I was like, because I saw it. I saw someone that had done all the temples, and they had
a posse.
Yeah, they were running around with a posse doing stuff, and I was
that
like,
is the
how is this happening on the Switch?
Like, yes, man, yes. I figured you were headed that way when you were talking about Xenoblade 3. Like, they must stay out.
Yeah, I thought, I was like, oh, I'm going to have to pick one or the other. I'm like, guess you don't.
That's cool. I'm excited about that. I love not feeling alone in a game, so that's great. Got my little buddies with me.
Yeah, I don't know what the powers they do. I just saw that they're out.
Yeah.
As I was flicking through streams, I was like, okay.
I'm gonna guess
it was incentive for me to go get more temples. Really?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I thought, the complaints about Breath of the Wild, like there's no like handcrafted temples. It's these small shrine experiences, and of course the powers would kind of break the traditional temples a bit. But like the Wind Temple, like is a template for like a dungeon that like is good for me, because like at least with Skyward Sword, probably Twilight Princess, I don't know what. Sometimes the dungeons are just too long. Like, I like a more compact experience, and that Wind Temple was just perfect for me.
But did you play it after the approach, like in one session?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay. So, I think if you consider those things sort of together as a unit, that feels definitely on par with...
Oh, that's a good point. Like, getting there is part of the dungeon.
Exactly.
That's what I considered. I considered the actual, like, approach to it as part of the dungeon process.
And that also echoes a little bit in Skyward Sword, right? Where it's like, God, just to get to anywhere on the surface, that was basically half a dungeon. And you did your reward for finishing it was a whole dungeon.
Dude, by the end, I was like, this is taking forever. It's like a dungeon to get to a dungeon, then you have the dungeon. Oh my God. No, I guess I didn't consider that, because with the approach, I did probably an hour and a half one night and then another hour the next night. And that's including my 40-minute climbing the pillar thing. And then getting up there, it was probably took me an hour, a little bit more than an hour to do maybe an hour and 20. And then the boss fight, I did my first try, but it took a while. And it just all felt perfect. It just felt perfect.
It's just because you have so many more mechanics to work with. I think that's why, right? Like if you think about Skyward Sword, it's like, okay, you've got the more realistic sword play, but it's it. You just kind of like fight stuff, and maybe there's some puzzles or whatever. But here, they've just done such an amazing job with the variation in. You can't even really call them puzzles. It's like traversal play or something like that. If you want to think of it, that they're, I don't know, it's some kind of hybrid that's in between, that you never feel like you're just stuck somewhere looking at a block and a switch and you don't know what to do with them. Yes, and you're never just like walking somewhere either. It's always somewhere in between.
I was in a shrine though, looking at a fucking Switch forever. I put it in the fucking Discord last night, or at least one of the channels of Discord. I can't remember the name of it. What is it? Damn it! I really want to find it.
Is this where you activate it with your sword?
No, well, yeah, maybe. The crystal, where you hit the crystal with your sword.
Yeah.
And it's like a fucking pinball thing.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
God,
the pinball one.
I spent forever looking at it. I'm like, okay, I'm doing something wrong. And then there's little pegs that go in and out of the ground. And it took me forever to realize, wait a second, that's not normal. If I can do that, could I put it on this? And then I could put that on this, and then I could swing it it's a fucking baseball bat.
You can make a paddle, and you can then line the ball up with the other things that are around there to tee it up to where you want it to go.
So much time trying to hit that thing with like recall.
Oh, sure.
Oh God, it was. And then I looked over and I'm just like, all right, well, I guess I missed something. I'm headed back, and it's like this little obelisk looks suspicious. And halfway through the thought, I smacked it with the sword. It's like, okay, I'm with you now.
Yeah, we're here.
Well, I lined everything up and got the fucking ball against the switch, and I hit the crystal, and it it barely moved. I was like, I need more leverage. How the fuck do I get more leverage? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I will actually say I have not come across any temple shrine this time with motion controls.
Oh,
I should also say I've done 62 shrines so far.
I would think that all the old ways in which motion control was used in the shrines have been replaced. Like you can basically replicate that with the angular control when you hold the right shoulder for Ultra Hand.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I think so.
Basically, what you did with that. So
yeah, I've never had to. There's been no weird platform balancing anything. I've come across it. I'm like, is it gone? Please be gone.
Like they got rid of the stuff that wasn't fun from the original game.
Yeah.
For some reason, and this is Breath of the Wild is one of my favorite games of all time. But for some reason, this is like my favorite or the best game since The Witcher 3 for me. Just because of like Witcher 3, like there's the main quests and side quests and everything's so interesting. You stumble upon weird shit or weird shit in the world, and this one has the same thing where it's just like
so much weird stuff.
So
constantly.
There's like 10 layers of side quests, it's just like all these different types of quests. Like the fairy you were talking about, like is a different type of quest than some of these, like the newspaper quest.
Oh yeah.
On that froggy armor, dude.
In the depths and
the depths, right? The Sky Islands, fucking running into one of those. I don't know what it's called, but it's the big block monster. You have to like use Ultra Hand to pull the fucking right block out and smack the shit out of it.
Yeah,
that was fun.
Oh, it's so fun. I've had 2 of those so far. It's been great.
I do find myself a little, and this was a kind of a not complaint, but again, going back to sort of the intro, a lot of this stuff is thrown at you on that island. Like I'm thinking of right now, like the Zonai, like the charges that you get. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, I get that I can pour those into the gumball machine and then a bunch of stuff comes out and I can play with them. That's fine. But then there's also like they can be refined into the charges and the charges can be refined into the bat. There's like a stratification of that I still don't. I just have the one battery. I haven't really invested a lot of time.
No, I'm at 2.5 batteries because basically there's the charges that you get, like you said, you can put them in the gumball machines, the gotcha machines, and get stuff. Those don't get refined into what is it? The crystallized.
Oh, it's the Zonite.
It's the Zonite.
You have to sell. You have to go find places and spin Zonite right. to buy it.
You can only buy 10 at a time, can't you? At least the one place that I found.
You've only found one place.
Okay.
there's a bigger place.
Good. Yeah, good. Yeah, that's fine. Like I just
where you can dump a lot of Zonite.
Okay, because I'm still going back to the original forge.
Yeah, there's a couple different forges. The forges don't matter. Like you can forge wherever, but it's the trading, the places where you can trade Zonite for the crystallized shards, charges, whatever they're called.
The Yiga hideout that I found had like some big batches and chests, and I was like, "Oh, thank God, I don't have to do this 10 at a time."
Yeah,
because it's 100 to get a battery, and it's like that's going to be kind of
arduous.
Wait, I can get a battery with 100 Zonite?
No, 100 refined crystals.
Yeah, refined crystals.
I was going to ask you guys, where do I get another battery?
That's where you take the refined crystals. You go to the forges and say, "I give you 100 of this," and that doesn't give you a battery. That gives you 1 bar of a battery.
What?
Okay, but oh God, okay.
So I think someone put it like you can have a total of. I don't remember how many total batteries you can have.
Like
but someone
8,
said it. Maybe more. I don't know.
Okay.
If you look if you look at the key art, he has them all.
Yeah.
That's where I counted. I thought
is it 8?
Anyway,
if it's 8, that's fine. It's still a ridiculous amount of Zonite that you have to mine to be able to do this.
Got it. Okay, I thought it was some quest that I got a new battery. I was like, well, I guess I'll find it one day.
No.
Okay. Maybe I should go back to the Forge because I have a fuck ton of Zonite.
But it's not just the Forge though. You have to
only do 10. Yeah.
Because it's not the Zonite. There's a conversion. You have to buy the crystal charges with Zonite, and there's only a limited number of those at that store. There is a bigger store though, that you can find, and you can buy like 80 at a time, something like that. You can buy a lot, and then you can it has a place where you can then buy big charges with large Zonite. So 20, which count as 20 crystal for reforging. So, what are we going to ask?
I was going to ask, will we stumble upon it naturally at some point? Probably, right?
Let's see. Are you following Robbie's quest line?
Oh, yeah, I did the first thing, but not after that. But I should probably do
Continue following his quest line.
Okay, that helps.
Down in the depths, just continue following his, and you'll find these different things.
Okay. Sounds good.
Because you'll also get one, because I bet maybe both of you, do you have the camera then at this point?
Yes.
Do you have
I'm taking pictures of shit.
Do you have then you two probably don't have the final ability in your...
No, I don't yet.
No, I know what it is, but I
have.
Yeah. I have that now. Follow Robbie's line,
Okay.
and that's how you get to that.
Cool. So tech stuff, follow Robbie.
Yeah, basically.
Real quick, Tom, I want to be sensitive to your time. I know that it's way late right there.
I'm good for a little bit more.
Okay, cool.
If we still got stuff to say.
I mean, this game is just there's so much to it. I feel like I was going to ask you guys, just because I want to say it, what the most satisfying part of the game has been for you so far. And for me, it's when you fucking fall from the sky into water and then the water rains down after you hit the water. It's just kind of like that rain coming down. So good. But I don't know if you have like a most satisfying part of the game for you.
Building really dumb vehicles and they work, I will say, it's been most of my satisfaction. And that's only merely been hitting recently because that's, we're talking about batteries. I have enough battery now where I can do some really fun things. Like traversing the depths in my like 4-wheel drive car.
Oh my god, that makes it so much better.
There's been some fun there.
You can put headlights on it too, right? So
you can put lights. Yep.
Well, and there's some I don't know if there's a certain armor set you can get that can make the depths easier too.
I got a piece of it. I definitely
okay. There's a piece somewhere down there in a chest.
I think
this isn't the stupid looking luchador one, is it?
No. It's fucking steampunk.
That's awesome.
What's it called? I have my Switch. It's called the Miner's Top.
Yeah.
I think if you follow Robbie's quest line again, you'll come to the Miner's Top as well, I believe.
Okay.
I think like a lot of that central part of the depths is all part of like Robbie's quest of moving between different places down there. And getting kind of your basic stuff for going into the depths.
Oh god, I just remember the last time I was in the depths. I was just cruising around, right? No big deal. Everything's fine. I'm killing stuff, getting the rocks, whatever. And I found there was it was kind of like we were saying it before. It was a thing that was clearly intended for you to use ascent to like get back outside. It was just like a little pedestal and like steps leading up to it and nothing on it. Okay, fine. I'm just like cruising towards this thing, ready to get out of the depths, and then out of nowhere, a Lionel shows up. It's the first Lionel I'd seen of the game. It was like, no! And I hit the ascend at like just the right. He was swinging, like he was in motion when I triggered it to just like obliterate me. And I got out of there. It's like, so maybe I'll put that as my most satisfying moment today.
Oh, that is very satisfying.
I'm scared of Lionels because I was just like a total, I don't even know what the technical slang term would be for it, but just like abusing stasis in order to beat them in Breath of the Wild.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And now that that's gone, I don't know what I'm going to do.
Sure. They're not easy. I feared them every time in Breath of the Wild. I'm trying to think of other stuff that I've been in. We haven't touched on. I mean, we touched on Ascend. We kind of touched on Ultra Hand. There's Forge. I don't know if you've done anything crazy with that. My common one that I always do is so the gotcha machine stuff. I just have a nice supply of rockets, and if I ever want to get up high, I just put a rocket on my shield.
On your shield, exactly.
And just fly up high and then glide to where I want.
The Mandalorian music starts playing.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, exactly. There was I guess it was in some of the previews, but there was a tower near Lookout Landing that's up on a hill surrounded by spikes poked out, so you can't climb. So I was like, my wife was watching me at the time, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna build something stupid. I spent like 10 minutes building basically just a flat fucking piece of wood with rockets on it, but I was using the big wood and it wasn't enough to lift off, so I used the small one, and it was perfect. It went the wrong direction, didn't matter. I was able to glide in, but it was just like the dumbest, most rudimentary thing ever. It was awesome. It worked.
Because is it Fuse is the name of the
Fuse,
thing?
Fuse, not Forge. Yeah, Fuse.
I love that for the monster parts. I was never like a huge like Kilton guy in Breath of the Wild, but I would compulsively collect all the damn monster parts and just have them. Because occasionally you need them to upgrade armor, so it's good to have a stash. But that's really fun when you meet like new difficult enemies. You know that you're going to get a good monster part that's going to make for a kick-ass sword or sort of thing.
I love it, like adding like blue bokoblin horns or whatever to shit that make a fucking stick, and it makes it way stronger.
Yeah, and then once you like sort of graduate, because like the bokoblin horns, I remember in the early hours of the game, it's like, I've got a sword with this horn on it, and that's like my main deal. And then once you get enough of those dudes that you're just sitting on like 50 or 60 of those, it's like, these are arrowheads now. Like they don't go on swords anymore; they go on the arrows. So it's fun to have things that used to be like your best main melee weapon just sort of be relegated to now this is a kick-ass arrowhead.
I love the idea that you don't have to buy stashes of like fire arrows or whatever. Now you can just like make
them on the fly. Yeah.
Yep.
I don't even think fire arrows are in the game anymore. I haven't found a single element.
I don't think so.
Fire fruit. No, there are none. No. You have to fuse them. Exactly.
Yeah, you just fuse whatever type of arrow you want. Homing arrows have been amazing at times.
Yep. I wonder, lore-wise, like, okay, there were fire arrows in Breath of the Wild. Now there are not. Is there some sort of in-world explanation, or just like we're just going to take it out for gameplay?
Maybe they were Sheikah tech.
Yeah, that's kind of the easy wipe, right? All the Sheikah tech goes away. Yeah, right, because all the Sheikah towers are gone. You know, all the Sheikah stuff's just out of there. You know, and that's part of
that stuff a little bit. Like the aesthetic of it was. I really liked that vibe, and I love the Zonai stuff too. But I do get a little forlorn having just finished Breath of the Wild. It's like, it's all gone.
Yeah.
But, I'm just this is gonna be the year of Zelda for me. Like I don't know if I'll ever get through Tears of the Kingdom this year, but if I do, I'd like to play another Zelda game that I haven't played, because there's just something about this. I've told Anthony a long time ago, but like I wasn't really into Zelda. And then I played Link Between Worlds and got into a little bit, and then Wind Waker a little bit more. Then when we started playing during the pandemic, that's when it was just like kicked into overdrive, and now we're just like fucking Zelda nuts. We're having she's having a Zelda themed birthday party, and we made the mistake. We didn't follow through on this, to have her design the invitation and like what she wants on the picture, and she wants a picture of Link, Zelda, and Ganon, and she chose like, I don't know where they found this, but it was like. Imagine Link, Zelda on the cover of a Harlequin romance novel.
Oh, that
was
amazing.
It was that kind of picture. I was like, what the hell is this? This is not, we're not doing this for a 6-year-old's birthday party.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
No. Oh my God, it was
crazy. Did I ever tell you, like, long ago with my son? I don't remember how old he was. I mean, he's turning 13. In a month. But less than a month. Probably when it was like 9 or 10. We did a Zelda themed thing as well. Had a cake toppers. I have like little Wind Waker Link and Wind Waker Zelda and stuff, and we made a cake. But I made a scavenger hunt around our property to find the Triforce pieces.
That's so cool.
and they had to find it so they could open the chest.
That was way cool.
I cut out Triforce triangles out of wood and spray painted them gold, and then hit them. They had clues, little like riddles and poems that kind of told them hints that they should go hunt. It was fun.
Oh my
it was a lot
God,
of fun.
I
But yeah, you have like 8, 9-year-olds just running around our lawn yard property at full speed. It's over here, go! Oh.
I think to every Zelda fan, a man and woman and person would have taken that over the Triforce quest at the end of Wind Waker.
Oh my God!
Yes, please.
Yes. Holy shit! They streamlined it for the HD, and it was still bad.
Still, that was just like barely right. That was just barely acceptable what they did. In the HD.
Exactly. Like why make this longer?
Because they ran out of time, man. They had to. That was one of the few times. I think it's so interesting as a historic lesson. And you guys are certainly in the Wind Waker camp, and I'm mostly there with you. I love it too, but I think anymore now when I look at that game, it makes me sad because I think about what it could have been if they hadn't been trying to rush to meet the holiday deadline.
Yeah,
The bits of that game that are not the Triforce quest it's amazing. That game is like basically going up against the others in the franchise with like one arm tied behind its back, and it still holds its own and cracks top 3, top 5 list regularly, right? Imagine what they could have made if they had just said, we're just going to give it a year like they did on Tears of the Kingdom. So that it's bittersweet, but I do love some Wind Waker.
Yeah.
I wish they would refine some of the rough edges on another re-release, which they won't, but
yeah.
Well, but then that's the thing too, is that people have asked, right, when the HD was coming out, they're like, the dungeons that you guys cut, like, are you gonna put those back in? And they sort of danced around it, but if you read between the lines, they basically can't, because they reused those ideas, they repurposed them for dungeons in Twilight Princess and Skyward Sword. Like they've already done them, you've already played them. They just were originally supposed to be in that game.
Yep.
Yeah,
that makes a lot of sense.
So
when my daughter was playing Tears of the Kingdom, she was like, "Daddy, can we get the Wind Waker roll in this game?" I was like, "I wish, I wish I could just roll across Hyrule." Oh, man. Such a good one. Such a good one. Such a good one. All right. Any last thoughts on Tears of the Kingdom?
I love the geoglyphs. The aesthetic of that, I'm like completely down for, and they are mystical and larger than life. And the fact that they're connected to the memories, I just like every time I want to go right now and like find them all. Like that's the thing I actually want to do, and I'm purposely trying to like pace myself because so far it's my favorite part of the game.
They are really cool. The way, like, for being the memory of this game, like the memories weren't as, I don't know, like ludonarrative dissonance or whatever. Like it didn't quite, I don't know, make sense. Find those memories or whatever in Breath of the Wild. With this one, like it just ties together so nicely. It just makes sense.
And the cutscenes are like double wide. You get so much more story for each one. Like they're really, really, Even the shortest ones that I've found have been incredibly satisfying, like narrative chunks.
Yep, absolutely.
A lot of meat on those bones. So that's been wonderful.
Well, and every morning, I've only found 2 so far, but both times I'm so excited to tell my daughter what happened, and then she wants to see it, and it's so cool that you can go back and see it.
Yes.
God, it's just So every morning is something new that we're talking about at the breakfast table, and just we're sharing this amazing experience of this game. It is like Zelda hype overload at our house. God. It's great. Trying to pace ourselves, but in terms of playing the game, like we'll play an hour with her. Like we still limit the screen time, and then today I mentioned I finally got caught up on all my grading. Like final exams are next week, and end of the semester is intense. So I'm not getting, I'll play 45 minutes at a night, maybe an hour and 20 if I'm lucky. But school ends this week.
Nice.
So for me, actually, you know what? Yeah. School ends for me. My daughter keeps going. My wife keeps going. So, I've got several hours in the day that I don't have as much to do.
Well, I have a coworker who's already finished the game.
Well, holy shit, man.
Yep.
Beelining or like
yesterday. No, I'm sure he wasn't. He's not that type of person.
Wow.
I'm sure he has a lot more to work through, but I'm sure he's already put over 100 hours into the game. Just getting there.
Does he work for IGN?
No, he works for System Era. Like, when he gets into a game, he gets into a game. He's
cool.
He's the guy who has like 5,000 hours in Warframe.
Oh wow, Warframe! Wow.
Oh yeah, that's the only game he has 5,000 hours in plus in.
Yeah. I'm sort of glad that my kids and work and all that sort of self-limit. I played so much. I had a couple of days where I was just like going real hard at it, and it started to like show up in my dreams. I was like ultra handing things while I was asleep, and so it's like, okay, all right, maybe not.
I was in a Zoom meeting yesterday for the union, and my co-president was in there with me, and I have a Ukrainian crochet on my mic, and half of it's blue, half of it's yellow, obviously, but it was folded so that you could only see the yellow. And she texted me, and she's like, "It looks like you have half of an extra stamina wheel right there in the corner of your video." I looked at it, I was like, holy shit, you're right. So we're starting to see like fire fruit and fucking all that kind of stuff in the world.
There you go.
It's a good problem to have.
Oh, it's such a great problem to have. I'd rather be, it's almost like when Anthony played Elden Ring and started having like, I don't know, lucid dreams about that game.
Yeah. That's not a game you want to be dreaming about. I'll be honest.
No. I keep thinking about going back to it after my 85 hours. I'm like, you know what? I feel like I've done that game. I know there's way more to do, but like, it seems insurmountable to get back into the creepiness of that game.
It does, and it's just like I will say, in the sense of Tears of the Kingdom, Elden Ring, like being both those big open worlds that have a bunch to explore and do, it's way easier to drop in and drop out of Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild as well than Elden Ring. There is a learning curve on Elden Ring, just to be effective in that game. Happily, as Tom said, Zelda's kind of made also for kids, so they make it so it's easy to just drop into. So
nightmares.
Although
they're adding more nightmares in this one, but
crazy. Well, cool.
All right. Well, if that's all for this week, I know we're going to be talking about Tears of the Kingdom for the rest of the year, but this was episode 386 of Prof and Dev Play Games. If you like our podcast, please rate us on your podcast service of choice, and we'll be back next week to talk about, you know what? Next week we'll be talking about Tears of the Kingdom. But then Sony's conference. The Sony's showcase. So maybe we'll, I don't know, have something up in midweek about some predictions. But I think it's Thursday at
1 p.m. Pacific.
Thursday at 1. I will be just finishing class. My last class of the semester.
Nice.
So, perfect. Yep. All right, folks. Thanks so much for joining us, Tom. Really appreciate having you here. Is there anything you want to let our audience know about? Anything you've written or anything at all?
Not me specifically. I'll just give the shout out to Zelda Universe. They're hustling day in and day out to make sure that there's new content, relevant news stuff there. They also have a 6-month story spoiler ban in place, so you can kind of read there with reckless abandon, regardless of where you are in the game. There'll be sort of friendly content there for a good chunk of time, so you can still kind of keep up with sort of things at the periphery without staring right at the meat and bones of the game itself. So
awesome.
That's good to That's good to know, because I keep going to these sites with like my one eye closed, like am I going to see something I don't want to see?
Yeah.
So although I'm sure we spoiled some things for our audience today. So.
little things.
Yeah, little things. All right, folks. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you. Later, everyone.